Conversation is Musalia Mwenesi, who has quite an elaborate title of Performance, Image and Career Consultant.
That's
Welcome
right.
to the show.
Thank you, Trix.
Okay, so first of all, let's just tell the people who are viewing from at home, what is the difference between a job and a career?
At a very simple level, I believe that a job is something that you do, it's a task that you do for exchange of value, whether it's money, whether it's opportunity, whether it's access. And a career is more of a path or a journey or a destination.
Right.
So you could do a series of jobs on your career, or you could do one job in your career, but a career has an end in mind. It has a destination.
So what would influence each?
So a job is something that you do as a matter of necessity.
To pay your rent.
I need to pay rent, I need to eat, I need to get this opportunity, I need to get this, to grow my position from an intern to somewhere else.
Right.
So I'll take a job. And the job is usually a task. It's an instruction or a task that you do in exchange for value. A career is something a little bit more deliberate, where you actually have a choice in the direction that you take, because there's so many different directions and paths that you can choose. But a career is one where you decide, this is what I think I should be doing based on my skill set, based on my strengths, based on my talents, also based on my weaknesses, because a lot of people don't think about what they're not good at. So it's what am I good at, what am I not good at, and then can I find something that will allow me to reach somewhere?
So
it's a
you could
destination.
find yourself stuck in a particular path,
yes,
and not knowing that you shouldn't be there because of your weaknesses, but you feel like I have to do it because they say I have to do it, but then your weaknesses are not allowing you to, you know, basically prosper.
Exactly.
Yeah. So well, having put out the definition, it might make it clear, but for some, not really, because you need to know perhaps the symptoms of a job.
The symptoms? You make it sound like it's a disease.
It's a horrible thing. But then for real, if I was sitting at home and watching, I would want to, and I didn't really know whether I'm pursuing my career or my job, what would be, I don't want to say red flags, but what would be the flag?
Some of the indicators.
Yeah, indicators that would say, you know,
there's something that we talk about when in some of the career programs that we teach.
Yes.
And one of the aspects that would be a great indicator is this item called flow.
Okay.
And flow is there are numerous factors that would determine whether you have flow in something. And I've heard the word passion being used, I've heard the word love being used, but generally it's instances where you're doing something, whether it's a job or a task or a series of jobs and tasks, and number one, you don't feel like time is a factor.
Yes.
You can keep doing it without, have you ever been
You don't check your watch.
You don't check your watch. By the time you look up, you're like, my goodness,
Like,
I haven't
whoa,
eaten lunch, I haven't done anything, because you're so involved, you're so engrossed. There's a deep interest.
The Mondays are not painful.
The Mondays, they say, good God, it's Monday, or good God, it's Monday. It depends. So there's that aspect of time not being a factor. There's also the aspect of people come to you, they see that you seem to be enjoying it, you seem to be an authority in it, and they want to ask you your advice. They keep coming to you for, tricks. I like the way you dress. I like you seem to have a sense of style. Can you help me figure out my own sense of style? So as soon as you see that people are gravitating towards you because of something that you have
figured out.
Yeah, there's
it's your thing.
It's your thing. Yeah. And I think the last aspect is anything that you do, and if money was not a factor, if money was not a factor, you would do this for the rest of your life. That should be an indicator of
what about
your
being in hustle mode as opposed to just doing the bare minimum? I would imagine that would be a symptom, or rather an indicator.
So yeah, the typical hustle mode that we describe here in Kenya of just doing job after job after job. You're not concerned about what job it is. And in fact, just yesterday, someone was talking to me and they were saying, I'll do anything. That's very dangerous.
I know,
I'll just do anything. And we've come to a point of desperation where we don't think in terms of who we are as a human resource. We think of ourselves as just human beings trying to get by. But when you start to think of yourself as a resource, as someone of value, then you start to question, am I in the right place? Am I in the right environment? Am I doing the things that are helping me grow and fulfill my potential? Because we all have potential. But then this thing of jumping from job to job does not allow you to fulfill that potential.
Or thrive. But then, honestly, we cannot avoid or ignore the need that is to pay rent, to buy food. So how would one, if they want to, shift from that mentality of I will just get whatever job and I will do anything, just give me a job, anything, to having a structured path that would lead them to that eventuality that you're saying it has to have like a certain picture that you're going for?
Money is necessary for living in this day and age. You have to have a form of values that you can use to pay your bills, to do what you need to do to survive and eventually thrive. So you can get in any kind of job. If you're in that situation where you're truly desperate and you need to just do something so that you can earn a living, go ahead and do that. But for me, the first step in getting ahead in your career is to acknowledge yourself, self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation and the platform for everything, whether it's emotional intelligence, whether it's career growth, but knowing who you are, looking deep within yourself and saying, okay, what kind of a person am I? What can I tolerate, what can't I tolerate? Because you can be put in jobs that you are absolutely against your personality, against whatever, but because you need that job so badly, you push through it and you do it, but you're not going to do a very good job compared to the one who is doing it with joy and because it's who they are, you know? So once you acknowledge yourself, you need to now find, the second step is to say, okay, you know what, I need to pay these bills, but in this job that I'm doing, there might be 3 or 4 different things that I can say, out of these 3 or 4 different things, there's one thing that I actually like, out of everything. So if you have what you call a job description or a key performance indicator, or whatever it is that you're being measured against on the job, you can look at certain aspects of that job and say, in this aspect, I want to concentrate on this and give your best in that, because you can only give your best in something that you truly value and that you enjoy. And then the third aspect is to try and incorporate aspects of yourself, because for example, I have to keep using the aspect of fashion and style because
that's your thing.
As part of I became an image consultant because in the many jobs that I was in the positions that I've held, I was always keen on how do I look, how do I present myself, how do other people look, how do they present themselves. So it didn't matter whether I was a manager, whether I was customer service, whether I was sales.
So was this intentional, or this was just part of the fabric that makes you you?
Yeah, it's very intentional, and that you have to be so deliberate. That starts with self-awareness. Being deliberate is now that aspect of saying, okay, you know what, let me bring things, what we typically call hobbies or interests. Let me bring that into my work. So because I had an interest in fashion and how people dress, I started now on the job just paying attention to that, paying attention to myself, doing certain things that would enhance how I present myself, and then people started paying attention and they came to me. Remember I said about asking for advice? They would ask me for advice, and then it grew and it grew and it grew, and I thought, hang on, there's something here. And I started now to specialize and research and gain an understanding. So you're not, the idea that you are fixed towards the job, the tasks that you're being paid money for, for me, it's a fallacy. A career is where you truly pursue and grow who you are based on your interests, on your strengths, and acknowledging and growing those strengths.
And obviously you didn't take a course in design and what have you. This is just...
And you see, all of that can come. I mean, you see,
later on,
talent, a talent is there, a gift is there, but technical skills can be acquired. You can acquire any technical skill, you can go get any certification, and that's why it really frustrates me when I see, excellent, brilliant people saying, let me add another degree, let me add this other certificate. I'm not saying don't get an education. Education is really the bedrock to kill ignorance and grow yourself. But if you're just doing it for the sake of getting a certificate and a degree, that is wrong. It's a technical skill that you acquire to support that which you already want to do. So if you're just doing an MBA just for the sake of doing it, but you're not really going to use it to better the skill or the gift that you already have, then there's a problem.
But that then would indicate that there is a disconnect between what we are taught in schools and that moment where you're trying to find a job or trying to pursue a career and what people actually do out here, because it's no secret that people have lost their jobs. Over the past few months, a lot of companies have laid people off, while at the same time there were a lot of young people who did not even have jobs to start with. So how would realizing the difference between pursuing a job or looking for a job and having a career path actually better this situation for the country as a whole?
You're absolutely right. And in fact, the education system as we know it right now, everything has evolved. Everything has changed. Medicine, you name it, across the board. Technology has changed. But our education system is still the Industrial Revolution style get an instruction to go to the assembly line.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to sit quietly, absorb this information, and then go and regurgitate it or use it somewhere else. I mean, those days are over, long gone. And the irony is, employers are saying that there are not enough good people for all the jobs that are available, and the potential workers are saying that there's not enough jobs for myself. And the disconnect, you're absolutely right, is because we are depending on school to be the breakthrough. I go to school, therefore I get a job. That was maybe our parents' time, maybe in like the 60s, 70s. That's when you would come out of school and there would be jobs waiting for you.
And they would actually find a job for you.
And they would actually find a job for you. Nowadays, you have to because there's a technological advance called the internet that has completely shifted the balance. Now information is readily accessible. The days where education was a means of getting information and knowledge that you could use to your benefit and exchange that knowledge for money, those days are gone, because now people are looking for authenticity. They're looking for, what are you actually bringing to the table? What value are you bringing to the table? That's what people are looking for. That's what employers are looking for. That's what customers are looking for, clients. Everybody's looking for, what value are you bringing to my life? How are you adding value? And if you don't know what value you have, forget it.
Could this be part of the problem when it comes to interviews? When people go for jobs and they have all the papers, they're dressed in all the right way, but then I guess the interviewers can sense the lack of passion. I remember this was a trend a few years ago when in Parliament they were asking what are the parameters for measuring passion, but then I think they can feed off of your lack of passion in a certain career path. So should we say, if your parents made you do medicine, but then you love journalism, you should basically figure a way to shift gears to your,
100. I mean, I'm a living example of that. I studied law. I come from a family of lawyers, and I quickly realized in my second or third year that this is not what I'm going to do. Okay. Ever.
How did that go down?
Not well. I mean,
typical African parent.
Of course. I mean, but you see, at the end of the day, because I knew what I was good at, I knew that at that time, business development, convincing people, talking to people, engaging people, I really enjoyed that. There was value in that, and people were recognizing that value enough to pay me. And because I was getting paid for that, and getting paid quite well compared to my peers, you can't argue with that. You can't argue with the fact that someone is actually able to pay their bills, have rent, and they're doing what they enjoy. So I made peace with that, and even now in the different jobs. I have a career. I'm a performance and image consultant, but I do have tasks that I do to earn money. I'm still true to myself. I still maintain those same values. You mentioned passion. For me, passion is a fruit. We threw this word around, passion, but really it's like saying I'm passionate about basketball, but I'm sitting here, I've never gone onto a court in my life. The continuous improvement is courtesy of time invested. You have to invest time in something. All of us have a gift, you can call it raw talent, but in order for that gift to become a skill that you can exchange for money, you need to put time. Time and effort. Time and effort in your talent. So if you're naturally a gifted footballer, or naturally a gifted stylist, or a gifted electrician, or you have just a nice interest in matters technology, that's a gift. But now you need to be able to spend more time improving, developing, learning, to grow that into a skill.
Grow.
Because skill is what people pay for. People don't pay for talent, they pay for skill. And especially in this economy where majority of us are not manufacturing anything, we're not inventing anything, we're a service economy. So because we're in the service economy, we need to start thinking of ourselves as a business. What skill do I have that I am exchanging for money? And skill is not about education. It's about doing.
Literally. So that then would take us to the conversation of when you're done with your degree, if you choose to go that path, to go to campus, as most of us do who can afford it, then how do you feed that career path, or that passion, quote unquote?
And the way you've spoken, it's like after you're done with the degrees, when you now start thinking, which is typical. It's typical of us.
But then
and
imagine
career planning for me,
sorry to interrupt you, in the typical Kenyan setup, choosing not to go to college or campus when you have maybe able resources, parents who can actually pay for you, is not something that is typical. Maybe in the United States, in the West, it can happen, but in this setting,
why I say it's typical tricks is because the thinking about your career should not start after you finish the degree.
Okay.
It should start way before that, way before. Like I'm talking, and this is why you see, when you've mentioned the United States as an example, by the time you're leaving middle school into high school, that transition from middle school to high school, you're still a teenager, but already you're starting to identify your temperament, you're starting to identify what, and that's where you'll see, like, you know, the geeks, the
drama students,
exactly. Everybody starts to kind of find their niche, and that's where you start to grow and develop yourself. Because can you imagine someone who's been acting and doing drama from the age of 13, by the time they're 21 going into acting school in the university, they have 9 years, 10 years experience.
Right.
And then when they come out, they're now able to, I mean, that's a skill that has been perfected over time. It could even have reached excellence.
So the career path started for them
way
when they were
early.
kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But
and inculcating that now as a society, I think, is really the first step. We can't shift the blame and say it is the school's job to do that. No, we as a society need to start helping our kids think critically about what is it, where, not putting them in a box, but nurturing whatever it is that they seem to be gravitating towards and really feeding that. You look at the Beyoncés and the, you know, Lewis Hamiltons of this world. From the age of, you know, 9, 10, you know, they've been in something. It's not an accident that they're achieving what they're achieving now.
So absolutely. Then after you get to that point, assuming then I did not go to public speaking and nurture my journalism career from when I was 12, I just stumbled upon this job when I was an adult, basically maybe at 21, and I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do for money. But then there's this, I want to be an actress, let's say. This is just an example, not my reality, but then let's say this is what I want. How do I approach that in order to now basically shift from just making money to doing something that fulfills my inner desires and also at the same time make me money and in a wholesome way point towards that bigger picture that I have painted at the end of the road?
And you know, they say one man's meat is another man's poison. So the whole reason why some of us do the work that we do and we have the careers and the jobs that we have as performance and image consultants is because of that reason. Because there's so many people who have now come out of university or are coming into their own. You know, the age between 20 and 30 is where you come into your own and you start to realize, hang on, I actually don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know who I am. I've got this job, but I feel unfulfilled. I'm just doing it for money. I don't feel like getting up to go to work.
I'm not giving it my all.
I'm not giving it my all. That's why I got into it, because I realized there's such a huge gap in people feeling unfulfilled. And so one of the critical things that we address as a performance and image consultant in programs like the Career Hub at St. Autonomy, we look at you as, forget about what you're doing, forget about your job title, forget about your degrees, forget about your family, your level of income, your background. Strip all of that away. How do you describe yourself? What do you look at when you look at the mirror in the morning? What are you saying to yourself? What are the things that you are saying to yourself? Am I the best? Am I an actress? Do I see myself as an actress? Do I see myself as an actress? And that continued frequency of I don't call it brainwashing, but it's a continuous reinforcement of yourself that you start to tell yourself, and that forms part of your self-awareness. You're conditioning yourself. And so you have to get to a point where now that conditioning becomes manifest into action. And we help you bring that into action, where you can actually start to now go into spaces that allow you to become an actress. A seed is only a seed, and I love using this example. All of us have potential. Take a seed anywhere. It has the potential to become a tree. But if I put that seed on this table, no matter how many times I pray for it, we can kesha here, we can sing for it, it won't grow. It doesn't have the right environment. It needs soil, water, sunlight for it to grow. So now it's a question of putting you in the right environment to now actualize your growth.
Right, and that would require in some instance some investment from that individual's part? Could be monetary.
Oh, for sure.
Time.
I mean, yeah. We invest time just by waking up. We've invested. By leaving our houses, we've invested. By leaving our beds, we've invested. So there has to be a level of investment and commitment. If you're not willing to invest, you're not willing to put in the work. This instant gratification that we live in, this society that you can press a button, it works. It really confuses people and makes people think that that's how life should work. And that's where you find a lot of youth, unfortunately, going into scenarios where they want quick fixes, quick money. I'll do betting. I'll deal drugs. I'll do
immediate fame.
Yeah, just quick. And they don't realize that you actually have to put in time. Time is the biggest investment. Not even the money.
Yeah.
It's the time, the frequency of. So if you, let's say you're now 30 years old and you're working as a bank teller and you realize actually I'm an actress. Yeah. Actually, in my heart of hearts, when I think about my life, I'm an actress.
I belong on a stage somewhere.
Yes. You know where you can start acting? There in that bank. You can actually start to now, do a few skits, whatever it is, or whether it's there, if you obviously, if company policy does not allow you to behave to behave in a certain way at work, find your friends, your family, other people where you can start to develop, and then graduate from that and go to a couple of auditions. Start putting yourself in those environments that will fulfill that. A couple of days, months into that, you will start to see yourself actually acting. And then now it's a question of it being excellent and exchanging it for money.
Musalia Mwenesi Musalia is a performance image and a career consultant. He'll be continuing with us on the other side of the break. So let's take a short break and come back. You do not want to miss this valuable conversation on jobs versus careers.
This is KTN News.
Umewahi kujiuliza kuhusiana na wanahabari, wasanii, wanasiasa na vile wanamichezo ambao ulipenda kuwatazama na vile kuwasikiza, ambapo sasa waoni wala kuwasikia tena? Basi jukwaa hili litakupa fursa ya kipekee ya kuweza kujua wako wapi.
Dedicated news channel, we highlight the plight of the people. We go undercover, chasing our leads to bring you informative and authoritative stories anchored on truth and facts. When it comes to the tough questions, we have everything in its rightful place, putting those in power in check.
We shall not be intimidated.
We're setting the platform on Checkpoint to have involving and robust discussions.
2 individuals arrested with the MP remain unknown. Law enforcement agents enjoying lavish lives.
Allegations of corruption.
Even as they hunt for tax evaders.
This is a warning to every Kenyan.
Every month, Kenyans have to live in fear.
It is the only way to achieve our goals, so someone has to report the truth to power.
Safari ya elimu, mwanadamu hana budi ila kujifahamu vizuri tu kupitia utafiti mbalimbali na kujijua nafsi yake. Unaposhuhudia masuala yanayoendelea katika maabara kwenye utafiti unaofanywa na wale ambao wanapaswa kutupa elimu inayohusu viumbe hai. Ndiposa katika dau la elimu sisi hatukupeleki darasani peke yake, ila tunakutoa hadi nje ndani ya maabarani ambapo kuna utafiti unaokupa uketo wa maneno kuhusiana na masuala ya elimu. Katika dau la elimu kila Jumapili, KTN News saa 11 hadi saa 12.
We value your feedback and welcome any comments, queries or complaints regarding our news content. You can get in touch with us on SMS 22155, call 0719012450 or email feedback@standardmedia.co.ke. Or you can send us a letter on Post Office Box 30080-00100 or deliver it to our offices at Standard Group Center, Mombasa Road, Nairobi.
This is KTN News.
Welcome back. This is Your Money on Morning Express. We're talking about careers versus jobs. And the question we asked you today on the internet, or rather on social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, is are you in a job or a career, and do you know the difference? That's a conversation I'm having this morning with Monesi Musalia, who is a performance image and career consultant. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Now, we were on the element of investing money, time, or even your connections or your pursuit of connections in the direction that will lead you towards your career. And you told us about how people can actually invest their time and the socialization in a way that would feed into that. So carry on.
Sure. If you want to better yourself,
yeah.
The difference between, just before the break we were talking about seeds and how seeds have potential.
Yeah.
The difference between us and seeds is we actually have legs.
Yeah.
We can move. Yeah. We actually can, remove ourselves from one environment to the other. So I think for me the first investment you have to make is seek the right environment, both in terms of your human, financial and social capital.
Right.
There's a lot of fixation on financial capital. I need money, I need money, I need money. Forgetting that around us there are people. Forgetting that around us there are connections. And most of the successful people that we meet and encounter in our lives have this mantra: your network is your net worth. You have to start to capitalize on the people that are around you, and not just going to them and saying, you know what, please give me a job, please give me an opportunity, please give me, please give me, please give me.
Yeah.
What are you exchanging? What do you have in your locker that you can exchange? And that forces you to now question what thing of value do you have?
Yes.
So that you can start to use that to exchange it with your network, so that you say, okay, you know what, I'm really good at making chapati, for example. I know that you like chapati, but I also know that you have this connection to someone or an acting school that I want to be in. So can I make these chapatis for you as a form of value exchange? And then, at some point, please, can you, I really have this passion, I really want to act. And we don't think that way. We don't think in terms of our social capital, our connections. We've got all these people around us, but we're just thinking, okay, I need money, I need to pay for this degree.
And this trend where we see people with placards along the roadside, how could you fault that, please, for us? Because, well, it might seem really nice that they've really put themselves out there by the side of the road with a placard saying, I am a graduate in this and that, or I'm a talent in this.
It's really sad, because to me it speaks of a very narrow mind and a very narrow way of thinking. And 5 years ago, when we started this program at Centonomy called the Career Hub with Washeke, we started really looking at, those instances were not one or two, it was in the thousands. And many guys were coming out of either university or even not having a chance to go to university, or just thinking about the thought of paying all this money to go to a place that is not even going to guarantee me work or an opportunity. So we thought, okay, what can we do to just demystify what it takes to get paid? Because that's what it is. Demystify what it takes to get paid. Why are people reaching into their pockets to give you money, to give you access, to give you an opportunity? And we developed this program to really assess where are the gaps, where are people missing the point, and that's how the Centonomy Career Hub program developed, and that was 5 years ago. We've now worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of people over this 5-year period, and we're continuing with that journey now in 2020. But we've really refined it. We're talking about aspects of mindset. You remember I talked about self-awareness, knowing yourself and knowing what of value do I have. Can I make chapati? Can I cook? Can I clean? Can I cut hair better than anybody? What do I have in my locker that I can exchange for value? At a basic level, if I can exchange that for money, number one, I've paid myself, or I've gotten paid. Number two, I can now use that to bargain and trade. The next aspect that we realized is people have this innate fear. And fear holds a lot of people back, whether it's anxiety, lack of self-confidence, that, oh my God, what will happen? And then you start to hyperventilate. You're moving out of your comfort zone. I've got these bills. You're telling me to pursue my career, but I've got bills. And then you start to hyperventilate. And you realize that fear is very different from danger, right? So we go through aspects of that. Danger is real. But fear, and I talk about the 6...
Fear is meant to protect you. Your mind is trying to protect you.
It's a signal.
But that does not automatically mean that there's an actual danger, or that you wouldn't survive the risk.
No, so what you're supposed to do is to learn how to read the signals and know, okay, this is danger, this is all in my mind.
For sure.
So we go through that with you also in the Career Hub. The third aspect is you know, unless you're seen or heard, you don't exist. I could be doing fantastic work in some corner somewhere, but if no one knows about it, what then? I mean, products, companies, corporates spend hundreds of millions of billions of dollars globally to make themselves seen and heard.
Think Coca-Cola,
exactly.
Pepsi, and what have you.
You know, so why are we any different? We have something that we need to exchange. We need to put it out there. And that's where you now start thinking of yourself as a human resource that needs to be marketed, that needs to be felt, seen and heard. Call it personal branding.
Yes.
The next aspect is now, like I said, making the most of your social capital. What networks do you have? How can you activate those networks to make them work for you? How do you communicate is the next one. Because a lot of people are brilliant, technically brilliant, but because they don't speak well, they don't articulate themselves well, they don't dress for the occasion, they don't say the appropriate things, they miss certain cues, they're not in touch with their audience when they're going for an interview or presenting themselves for a job or in front of a customer. They just lose out simply because of how they express themselves. And expression is how we as human beings exist. So if you can't do it properly, then you're gonna miss out on a lot of opportunity. Then by this time, we realize that people are starting to become leaders because once you've gone through that aspect of Career Hub, you now start to think like a leader. So it's now, how do you now develop certain technical tools of being a leader? Empathy, emotional intelligence, styles of leadership, being able to harness and mobilize your team effectively. So there's so much that goes into it. And then obviously career planning, because failing to plan is planning to fail.
To fail for sure.
And you know, when I mention all of these things, I wish that these aspects were taught in school, in our traditional school, but they're not, because school is not designed to make you an item of value, to make you valuable. It's designed for you to do tasks. And you become a task rabbit. And we're shifting the conversation away from that at St. Autonomy Career Hub to make you think, can I be more, where can I add value and where can I grow and fulfill my potential? And that's 7 weeks. It's not 2 years, it's not a PhD, it's not whatever. It's 7 weeks. It's I mean, when you think about it, a semester in any of our universities will set you back, you know, maybe 50 to 100,000 shillings. This is a quarter of that. It's just shy of 25,000. I mean, so for me, because what we're trying to do is we want to affect as many people as possible and make them realize that wealth creation is really, really possible. But it's just shifting your thinking, tweaking a few things here and there. And as you see in all these things I mentioned, I'm not talking about your degree, I'm not talking about, you know, what technical thing, because that's for you to now look at yourself and say, okay, you know what?
Would this serve me?
Would this serve me? Or do I need to get something else? I had to go and get a certificate as a protocol and etiquette consultant, all the way in the US. I had to go to Brussels for the same. And it's because while I'm passionate about doing it, people are coming to me. I realize that I can charge more, do more, and access more opportunity if I have this
thing. A sense of credibility, because you cannot dictate how people view things in the world, in the market.
Absolutely. That's part of your branding. Personal branding is also about the effect that you have on others. So, you know, I might be the most gifted etiquette consultant, but if I don't have this thing behind me, the perception will be that, okay,
could be the thing that stands between you being referred to as a con man and an actual professional. So
someone actually interviewed me and asked me, Munesh, because I have a master's degree in law. They asked me, why did you do your master's in law if you knew you're never going to practice from the beginning? And I said, well, number one, I really need to look smart and sound smart. And honestly, it did make me look and sound smart. But more importantly, I always had an idea in mind that I was going to be in leadership. And because leadership requires you to have this perception that you know what you're talking about. I said, I'm doing this not for now, but for my future. And you know, as we know now, if you want to get into any public office or you want to have any standing, at a minimum, you need to have a master's degree. So I was very clear in my mind why I was doing this. Obviously, I picked up some things that might be useful, but you know, I've picked up things yesterday that I could use on the internet.
Absolutely,
you know, what I studied, 10, 12 years ago in my master's degree, you know, I now have to refresh and pick up. So education is all over.
You talked about the pricing, because a lot of that fear, if we want to dispel it right now, we could dispel the fear of how expensive it could be.
Sure.
So if one wanted to take your 7-week class, how much did you say it would cost?
It's 25,000. And the good thing is Centonomy have provided this. I mean, right at the beginning when we started out, because we were still, you know, testing the waters, we were like, okay, you have to pay everything up front. But now, you know, you can pay it as you go. You can literally pay in
so if you get to
installments.
some point and you're like, nah, this is not for me.
This is not for me. Well, that's fine. And we've had that. We've had situations where, you know, senior people in top management will come and they say, you know what, Monesi, I just want this aspect. I just want personal branding because I'm trying to get into this position. And that's fine. And for me, that's where I now work independently and I provide those services as well.
Okay.
But for Centonomy, it's really a holistic view for someone who really wants to just get out of a rut. Maybe you're stuck in a rut. Maybe you're you don't know which way to turn, or you've been working in this dead-end job and you just want to pull your hair out and you're done. You know, so it's for that person who is really looking to fulfill their potential, number one, or is stuck and wants to take it to the next level.
Absolutely. And last but not least, obviously, you've talked about the 25K. If I can't, basically, maybe that job that I'm doing does not make it that I can only afford to live, basically.
Sure.
So what other resources are out here that you can take advantage
Find
of?
some bundles. Get some bundles, enter the internet. Ingia mtandao. I mean, you know, right now information is not the preserve of the elite.
Nope.
It is freely accessible to everybody. And so whatever you want to become, first start with yourself, you know. Believe that you have a thing. Have a goal, because people who are just meandering without where they want to go, and this is where you do it back, most people are doing it back to front.
Yes.
I get all these technical skills, I learn all these things, but then I don't know where I'm going. Okay, I've got this car, I've got this. Where am I going? Am I going to Mombasa? Am I going to Uganda? So have an end in mind. Have a target that you're aiming for. And then now start to pick up the necessary skills. Okay, to go to Mombasa, I need a ticket. I need this, or I need a car, I need petrol, I need this. Start to pick up the technical skills once you know where you want to go.
All right.
And I encourage anybody who feels like that's too expensive, start from within. Think about where you want to go 10 years, 20 years from now.
Right.
Observe that, see it, visualize it. You know, we talk about vision boards and all of these things. Actually see for yourself. So when I knew that I knew my plan for the age of 45 when I was in my 3rd year of university. I had an idea of what my 45-year-old self would be doing, would look like. Yeah, I'm a couple of years from that now, but we're firmly
on track, on course.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Musalia Monesi, who is an image and performance and career consultant.